Today, I want to go through all of the divisions for Chapter 2 of Team Affinity here in Season 2 and just kind of give my thoughts on the cards, which ones I like and I'm looking forward to, and then maybe the ones that I'm not really looking forward to. I really hope y'all like the video today. This is something that I've been wanting to do, but I'm just not sure if people will end up enjoying the video or not. In the comments section, I'm really curious about any of the new cards that came out, part of the All-Star Week content that you guys are looking forward to. Maybe any that you have liked already that you've been using, that you grinded for. I'm curious your thoughts on just all the cards in general, but maybe the ones you're specifically looking forward towards using that you're most excited about. Now, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here because looking at somebody like Tanner Hook from the Red Sox, I don't really use these starting pitchers too often from Team Affinity, but I like his pitch mix. It looks pretty solid. A lot of the new pitchers they dropped have good control. The breaks seem solid as well. So like, this doesn't seem like a bad card. I just can't get myself that excited for the starting pitchers. But with that being said, Corbin Burnes is always one of my favorite pitchers to use and one of my least favorite pitchers to face. So I am looking forward to using another Corbin Burnes card, that 99 velo, the break, 97 hits per nine with 109 pitching clutch. I love his pitch selection. So he's one of the few starting pitchers that I would say I'm actually probably looking forward towards using. He's got good control. He's got solid break, maxed down on that slider. So I'm definitely looking forward towards Corbin Burnes and using him. Tanner Hook, I don't feel excited about him, but just looking at him on paper for a 95, he actually doesn't seem too bad. Juan Soto, one of my favorite swings in MLB The Show. He's who I've been using as my creative player's swing, his batting stance for the last few years. So I definitely can't wait to use Juan Soto, one of my favorite guys in Diamond Dynasty every single year. I would say he's probably my number one card I'm looking forward to in this division. Number 2 would be Corbin Burnes. I'd say number 3 is probably Vlad Jr. I've never been the best with Vlad Jr. cards. It's a little bit interesting for me, to see that higher contact but maybe lower power numbers. Just in the past, that's not always how it's been for Vlad Jr. But I would say Soto 1, Corbin Burnes definitely 2, close behind him. It's just 2 very different positions. In this division, Vlad Jr. would be 3. And then Isaac Paredes, not a bad looking card. I just haven't really used an Isaac Paredes card before. So between him and Tanner Hook, it's kind of a toss up for 4 or 5. I'd probably put the other starting pitcher though at number 5. And at the end, I think I'll probably just maybe try to rank the divisions if I can, but let's move on to the National League East now. Some more starting pitchers. I'm definitely more excited for Zach Wheeler. He's just got a better pitch selection in my eyes, a 5-pitch mix versus Reynaldo Lopez with only the 4 pitches, but I would say in this division, Pete Alonso is going to be my number 1. I'm a big fan of Pete Alonso's swing. He just hits nothing but dingers, nothing but taters for me. So I'm a big fan of Pete Alonso in the past. I'm hoping it would be similar with this one. Probably number 2. Actually choosing a pitcher, but it's not a starter. I'm going to go with Tanner Scott, 4-pitch mix. I like the sinker, circle change, slider combo. Max for the hits per 9 and pitching clutch with 99 velo, with 99 break. He doesn't have outlier, but with that hits per 9 and the max pitching clutch, a lefty, 4-pitch mix. It's hard for me to find solid lefties sometimes for the bullpen. So I would say Pete Alonso 1, Tanner Scott 2. Probably just sticking with position players. CJ Abrams number 3. He's looking solid. Has reverse splits on the contact numbers, but then higher power versus righties, but might be easier to make some contact versus lefties. So I kind of like that, but I'd say he's number 3. Zach Wheeler, a close 4 though. I would just have to see how this card actually plays, but I like the pitch mixed. The attributes not looking too bad. So probably Pete 1, Scott 2, CJ Abrams, Zach Wheeler, toss up for 3 and 4. And then Reynaldo Lopez, starting pitcher, 4-picks Mitch. That's not really my thing. Coming in at number 5 for the NL East. Now for the Central divisions. We all know the National League Central is going to be the best. So let's go ahead and start with the American League Central. I don't know if I would say that this is the division I'm least excited about, but Salvador Perez Correa, for them, probably easily my 1 and 2. It's hard for me to choose just because they are very different positions and I haven't used any of these cards yet, but Salvador Perez just on paper looking like my number 1. I've really enjoyed Salvador Perez's swing in the past, but if I were to put him at catcher, his fielding, his blocking is better, but that fielding reaction scares me a little bit. Not the best arm either, so I think I could find somebody I maybe like a little bit more at catcher, but I've been a big fan of Salvi's swing in the past. So Correa, maybe I might move him to my number 1 spot, but kind of battling it out between them two for that number 1 and 2. I like that Correa is super strong versus lefties, but still solid with that 82 power versus righties. I've been a big fan of his swing in previous years. Used his live series card a little bit, maybe in BR, stuff like that this year. So I think I'm going to do Correa my number 1 just because of the fielding and everything for Salvi. If I were to put him at catcher, going to be my number 2. And then probably Josh Naylor number 3. But I mean, look at those contact numbers. I don't see myself ever actually using this card in ranked seasons, maybe events or BR, but I don't see myself using him as my first baseman or left fielder, right fielder, DH, anything like that in ranked seasons. So I would say Correa 1, Salvi 2, maybe Josh Naylor 3, but might even put Scooble in there depending how he plays. I like the pitch mix. I haven't really used Scooble cards much in the past, so I think, yeah, I'm going to say Correa 1, Salvi 2, Scooble 3, Naylor 4, Crochet only a 4-pitch mix 5. Literally going in order from right to left, 1 through 5 here for me. And again, I haven't used any of these cards, so that's going to be a little bit of what it comes down to later on, is just how they actually feel using them for me. Now for the NL Central, and Cardinals, my favorite team, if y'all didn't know, has Ryan Helsley. No other All-Stars this year, so he's kind of the only choice they could have given him, but he's definitely not my number 1. That would go to either Ellie or Brian Reynolds. And I love me some Brian Reynolds cards. 70 fielding, 66 speed for him in the outfield. Ellie's got that 99 speed. Yeah, I would say Ellie, probably my number 1 card that I'm excited for in this division. Followed closely number 2 with Brian Reynolds, and closely number 3 Yelich. I'm a big fan of Yelich's swing. I loved that Egg Hunt card from earlier in the year. And all 3 of these guys love their swings. Have loved pretty much any other version of them. And it's going to go Ellie 1, Reynolds 2, Yelich 3. But I'm really happy to play with all 3 of them. I could see all 3 of them in my starting ranked seasons lineup. Number 4 for me as a Cardinals fan, going to be Helsley. I tend to like the closers better than the starters, but I haven't been a big fan of Helsley cards in the past. 4-seam slider, 12-6. I just usually prefer a little bit different of a pitch selection, but he does have outlier on that 4-seam fastball, some high hits per 9, high pitching clutch, so he's going to throw gas. That PCI is going to be smaller, but he's kind of far behind the 3 position players at number 4. And then Shota Imanaga. I don't know, man. This card just, I don't see myself ever using him besides maybe once to try. The pitch selection solid. Hits per 9 is okay, but the velo at 62 scares me a little bit. The control, look at that. Like, if we take a look in the top right, that control is awful. Besides the 4-seam fastball, it's just really not good. And with having that control paired with low velocity and pretty low break for most of the pitches, I just don't see him fooling anybody ever. And I would say he's a pretty distant 5th place in this division, unfortunately, for Cubs fans. I guess I don't want to say unfortunately for Cubs fans, because this is all my own personal opinion, but just looking at this card, I really don't ever want to use him. But all 3 position players, I can't wait to use all 3 of these guys. I don't think I would say that the AL West is my least favorite division I'm looking forward towards. You know, there's not huge names necessarily. There's not big standout names besides obviously Altuve, Semien, kind of the 2 that really stand out to me. But if you take a look at Tyler Anderson, solid pitch selection. The hits per 9 isn't bad. He doesn't really have the velo, which scares me a little bit. Same thing kind of with Shota. He doesn't have control either to go with that lower velo, but he's at least got some better break. He at least has that 110 hits per 9 and then the max pitching clutch. So I think that makes him a little bit better. Mason Miller, relief pitcher, 124 hits per 9, max velo, 4-seam slider, circle change, not a bad combo. Control definitely could be a little bit better, but having that max break on the slider paired with the outlier on the 4-seam fastball. Mason Miller seems solid. Logan Gilbert, not a bad pitch selection, but low control, low velo for him. Besides the slider for that control, the break solid, but you know, nothing too amazing. And these are 95, so I you know, my expectations aren't super high to begin with, but just as far as starting pitcher goes, I don't know if, you know, either of them would really stand out hugely to me. And it might surprise some people, but I would say the card I'm most excited about in this division would be Altuve. What does scare me is the fielding, but at second base, you don't usually need great fielding, but 58 reaction, 67 fielding is really not good. But I find that for me personally in the past, Jose Altuve always plays a little bit higher than his power numbers. 93 already versus righties. I guess a solid 76 versus lefties with that high contact to get the PCI a little bit bigger. Some good quirks on the card as well. So I'd say Altuve in this division is probably the number 1 guy I'm looking forward to. Maybe Mason Miller number 2, Marcus Semien. I've liked to swing in the past, but that contact and power versus righties, I guess mainly the contact though. The power is actually not bad, but that contact versus righties, 79 compared to max 125 versus left. Like, I just want to be using this card, even with some of my favorite quirks. Unfazed, bad ball hitter, breaking ball hitter. Those are some nice ones. Missing dead red, the fastball hitter, but I just don't think I would want to use this card versus right-handed pitching, but versus lefties, he looks real solid. I'd like to swing in the pass. So I would say Altuve 1, Miller probably 2, Marcus Semien 3, Tyler Anderson, especially with that pitch mix 4, and then Logan Gilbert, I'd say probably number 5 for the AL West for me. Last division to go over, we have the NL West, and for me, there's a clear number 1 choice, and I have a feeling a lot of people will probably say this is their card they'd be looking forward to most in the NL West Team Affinity. It's going to be Ketel Marte. A little bit lower on the power number versus righties, 75 compared to his max versus lefties. But for a switch hitter, 90 and 125 for the contact numbers with 95 fielding, 80 reaction, 64 speed, second, short, left, center, right field. You could put him at a few different spots and he's probably going to be solid for you. I love Ketel Marte's swing. I love the maxed out contact and power versus lefties, but still solid numbers versus righties. 110 clutch is going to help versus righties, but hurt versus lefties, runners in scoring position. He's got unfazed, which is always nice. Sometimes I'm a first pitch swinger, so I like that first pitch hitter one. But Ketel Marte, I would say, is my clear number 1 for this division. Might surprise some people just because I'm saying I don't like starting pitchers usually, but Logan Webb, probably my number 2. Now, what kind of scares me or makes me hesitant to say that is the lower hits per 9 at 86. That is pretty low. 87 pitching clutch. The PCIs might be too big for my opponents, but I love the pitch mix. Velocity is decent, but nothing too amazing. The control, though, is what's really good. Max down on the sinker and circle change, but everything else 92 or higher. Like, that control looks really juicy to me. The break, maxed down on 3 of his pitches. Not the greatest on the four seam or the cutter, but sinker, circle change, slurve at 99, paired with that control that he has. Like, that just makes me feel like I would like his card, even with the 86 hits per 9, but that is what scares me. But I would probably say Logan Webb number 2. I've liked his cards in the past, and it's going to kind of come down to how the card actually plays for me. Number 3, probably Luis Ariz. I just have always loved when his live series is supercharged. He seems to play higher than his power numbers for me, at least in BR. So I'm hoping it'd be the same with this card, but I love the high contact. He could play first, second, short, left field with only 65 fielding, but I do like the look of Luis Ariz contact numbers, the vision, the clutch, power. Like I said, usually plays higher for me. I'd probably put him at number 3. Ryan McMahon at number 4. Loving his swing ever since that one Tops Now card. And then probably Tyler Glasnow coming in at number 5. I'm just usually not the biggest fan of a 4-pitch mix from a starting pitcher. And it might be crazy, but I would say the division that I'm looking forward to the most is probably the NL Central, just because I could see all 3 of these guys in my starting ranked seasons lineup, and I could potentially see Helsley in my bullpen. So surprisingly, I would say the NL Central is the division I'm looking forward to the most. I'd probably put the NL West at number 2, but it's a hard carry from Ketel Marte. It's a very hard carry from Ketel Marte coming in at number 2. But if Logan Webb could actually perform and do well for me in that starting rotation, it makes the number 2 choice a little bit easier for me. I'd say the AL East number 3, Juan Soto, Corbin Burns. I definitely know I like Corbin Burns' cards. Kind of similar, though. It depends on how he plays compared to Logan Webb. I think I could flip-flop NL West and AL East for that number 2, number 3 spot. But Central 1, either the West or East, number 2. Other one would be 3. I do love Juan Soto, but I love the switch hitting aspect of Ketel Marte. But Soto rakes against lefties for me. Probably the NL East at number 4, just with Pete Alonso. I'd like that card. I would say the bottom 3 I'm not super excited for, but I do look forward to using Alonso. I need that lefty Tanner Scott on my bullpen. And I would say definitely the AL Central and AL West pretty securely in those 5 and 6 spots. Probably could flip-flop them in those 5 and 6 spots. And just kind of looking at the cards one more time, I'm thinking I'd probably put the AL East at that number 5 spot and then the AL Central at the number 6 spot. I don't know, especially with that Ellie card. I don't know if I could see myself using any of these guys in my starting lineup for ranked seasons. So one more time, probably NL Central number 1. Let's go AL East number 2 just because I love Soto and I know I like Burns. NL West, though, a pretty close number 3. East 4. AL West 5, AL Central probably coming in last at my least favorite division, or I guess the division I'm looking forward to using those cards the least. And I can't wait to see the comments on this video to see who y'all are looking forward towards using the most. Maybe any cards that you've already used that you're really enjoying using. How did the Team Affinity grind go? From what I heard, it's really not too bad. It's definitely the fastest one of the year, which I'm definitely looking forward to that. With a new college football game coming out here pretty soon, I don't want to be spending a lot of time grinding MLB. I want to be able to divide my time up between a few different things. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to drop a like if you did. Maybe consider subscribing for daily uploads on the channel. Thank you as always for watching. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you in tomorrow's daily upload.